Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about internal structure of the earth. Okay, but the thing is, like man's knowledge regarding internal structure of the earth is very limited, or you can say, till now the internal structure of the earth is a mystery. Okay, like there is no specific evidence to know the internal structure of the earth except the seismic waves or except the seismology, or you can consider it except the earthquake waves or seismic waves, which gives us the authentic informations regarding the internal structure of the earth. Okay, so earth is full of surprises, and geography is a subject which is full of surprises, and it's just a very small part of geography which I try to convey, that how earth interior is being constructed and what are the evidences gives us idea about the internal structure of the earth. So look, like why it's necessary to understand the internal structure of the earth, because it's a very important thing. Like why this is very essential to know, like how the interior of the earth looks like. So the thing is, though the study of the constitution of the interior of the earth is outside the domain of geography, it's not being a specially is branch of geography, though geology students are being rigorously or being very deeply understand and study internal structure of the earth, their composition, their formation, what are the rock formations in interior and what are the compositions of interior. But it's necessary for geographers because the nature and configurations of the reliefs of the earth surface largely depend on the nature, mechanisms and the endogenetic forces which originated from within the earth. The thing is, what is that endogenetic forces? I think you know that maybe those who are the geography students having geography their paper in 11th, 12th or graduation. Okay, but still I'm going to say that what is endogenetic forces. There is two type of forces basically, that is endogenetic forces and exogenetic forces. That forces which is released in the interior of the earth, in the depth of the earth, because of the volcanic eruptions, because of the earthquake. Okay, these all are the endogenetic forces, and the exogenetic forces are those forces which are being originated, created by the external forces like your wind, like water, like glacier, okay, etc. All these things. Okay, so those endogenetic forces has a great role in the formation of relief features, in the formation of different type of landforms also. So that's why it's very important to understand the internal structure of the earth. Okay, so it's very difficult to have accurate knowledge of the constitutions of the earth's interior because it's beyond the range of direct observation of by man, because earth's interior is the inaccessible zone, you can say, and through which we cannot go through. And the thing is, only some depth, like due to the till the mining regions, man can go through directly in the interior of the earth. Okay, then but recent days seismology, I have already told you that seismology has helped to have some authenticated knowledge about the earth interiors. Okay, we'll discuss what is seismology, what is seismic waves in further slides. Okay, so these are the basic sources which provides knowledge about the earth interiors. Like though we have I have already told you that earth interior is an inaccessible zone, like we cannot go through the depth of the earth, like till the center of the earth we can't go through. Okay, so the thing is, so what are the sources which gives us some ideas, some knowledge that maybe the internal structure of the earth looks like this, or these are the compositions of earth interiors, and these are the elements which is being presented in the earth interiors. Okay, so we can divide all these sources into basic three types, like artificial sources, and these two sources are is like natural sources. Okay, like from and under artificial sources, density, pressure and temperature, and when it comes to the natural sources like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, seismology, and also evidence from the theories of origin of the earth as well, how the earth is being originated. That theory also gives us some idea regarding the internal structure of the earth. Okay, so let's first come to the density. Okay, look, density has a very important role to understand the earth interior. So it is believed that the outer thinner part of the earth is composed of sedimentary rocks. Okay, and wait just a minute. Okay. So the thing is, the thinner part of the earth is composed by sedimentary rock because it's a earth surface, okay, which we staying right now, like we all are stable and we all are established, or we all are staying on the earth surface, okay, and we are very familiar to the earth surface because all the developments, all like your agriculture, like your industry, like your settlement, all these things are happening on the earth surface, and we are being staying on the earth surface. So most probably we can understand what is the compositions of surface of the earth. So most of the part of the surface is composed of sedimentary rocks, and whichever thickness is varying from 0.8 to 1.6 kilometer, having a density of 2.4 to 2.5 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, but below the sedimentary rocks are the igneous rock with density of 3.0 to 3.5 gram per centimeter cube. So according to Newton's law of gravitation, density of whole earth is 5.5 gram per centimeter cube because it is already like calculated according to the law of like gravitations, or you can say, or you can consider according to the gravimetric data, the average density of the earth interior is 5.52 gram per centimeter. Look, it's a very simple thing, like the surface density is 2.4 to 2.5 and the whole density of the earth is 5.52, and below the surface the density is 3 to 3.5. So if you can take a average, then we can consider is the maybe the center of the earth, which is like more than 6,000 meter radius. The earth radius is more than 6,000 meter. It's not the appropriate number, which we can consider it later. So the thing is that maybe the core density of the core is more than 11 to 13 gram per centimeter cube. It will assume it. Okay, so thus it appears that the density of the core of the earth will be without any doubt more than 5.5 gram per centimeter cube. So generally the density of the core of the earth is 11 gram per centimeter cube. If we go through an average or if we go through an analysis, you can consider it. But the thing is, Cavendish, one of the geomorphologists who attempt to calculate the average density of the earth as 5.48 gram per centimeter cube in 1798, and Ponting also calculated the average density of the earth is 5.49 gram per centimeter cube in year 1878. But the recently conducted satellite studies which gives us idea about the density of earth interior, like the average density of earth is 5.517 gram per centimeter cube, and the average density of earth's surface is 2.6 to 3.3 gram per centimeter cube, and average density of the earth core is 11 gram per centimeter cube. So this analysis provides that the density of the core of the earth is highest of all parts of the earth, and this idea gives us like that earth interior is made of with some heavy metals, thereby causing its a high density. Okay, so the earth behave like a huge magnet and is surrounded by magnetic field. We have already discussed about the gravitational force. Because of the gravitational force, or according to gravimetric data, the earth behave like a magnet. So maybe it is a hint there is the presence of iron or nickel or some metallic elements or metallic material in the interior of the earth. You can say in the core also. Okay. Next come to the pressure. What pressure expresses that? You know what is that pressures, like the pressure exerted on 1 square centimeter area of rock inside the earth is known as pressure prevailing in the interior of the earth. So the pressure is caused by the weight of overlying rock, and though pressure increases with the increasing of depth and high density of the earth core is due to the high pressure prevailing there because of overlying rocks. These all are the, like, you can say these are the assumptions, you can say, like this we think these things may be possible because of the presence of pressure or because of presence of density. Okay, but though till now only the seismology gives us an authentic idea or authentic knowledge regarding the internal structure of the earth. Okay, and next come to the another important thing which can, like temperature is the thing which we can feel. Okay, and the thing is through the bore wells and mines we can go through up to 100 meters depth, or 8 kilometer depth, sorry, 8 to 10 kilometers, some of the 40 kilometer also. Okay, So in that depth, we can measure that the temperature start increasing in the average rate of 2 degree to 3 degree centigrade Celsius for 100 meters. Okay, 2 to 3 degree Celsius for 100 meters. Okay, but it may be point out that it is very difficult to find out the rate of change of temperature beyond the depth of 8 kilometer, because maximum mines are not beyond of 8 kilometers. Okay, so it's very difficult to find out if the rate of change of temperature is that uniform like 2 or 3 degrees Celsius per 100 meters or not beyond 8 kilometers depth. Okay, so in the tectonically active areas, temperature remain 1000 degrees Celsius at a depth of 43 kilometers, while the temperature remains only 500 degrees Celsius at a depth of 40 kilometers in tectonically stable area. Tectonically active areas means the regions where the like plate tectonics are there, plate boundaries are there, volcanic eruptions active regions, earthquake active regions, where the tectonically activities are occur in time intervals. Okay, so if you believe the rate of general increase of temperature with increased depth of temperature should be around 25,000 degrees Celsius at a depth of 29,000 kilometers, but under some such circumstances most part of the earth would have melted, but this has not to be happened. Okay, so this is a, you can say, it's a temperature increasing with the depth, and here is a mantle, and here is a lithosphere, and here is a outer core, and here is the inner core. This graph shows that how temperature is get increased in the depth of the earth. Okay, so it may be denoted that the heat in the interior of the earth is generated through the disintegration of radioactive minerals. Like some of scientists or some of the geomorphologists also explain that there may be the generation of temperature in the interior of the earth because of the disintegrations or breakdowns of radioactive minerals or radioactive elements. Okay, and conversion of gravity force into thermal energy. Okay, so due to the high thermal energy probably become responsible for the formation of different zones of the earth, and there is a gradual flow of heat from the inner part of the earth to its outer part of earth. Okay, so besides this, there are the natural sources like your evidences from the origin of the earth. Like there is the different hypotheses and different theories regarding the origin of the earth. Lot of scientists, lot of like pioneers gives their hypothesis regarding the origin of the earth, like some of the popular origin theories, or you can say the hypothesis regarding the origin of the earth are like your nebular hypothesis, like your gaseous hypothesis, like planetesimal hypothesis, and also recent views or recent most popular theories, which is a Big Bang theory. So those theories also gives us some idea regarding the interior of the earth or internal structure of the earth. Okay, so according to the origin of the earth, various components of different hypotheses and theories of origin of the earth have assumed the original form of the earth to be solid or liquid or gaseous. Like some of says that when the earth is originated, it is a very hot gaseous mass. Okay, some of says that it is in a conditions of liquid, or some of the scientists told that there is a gaseous form, and literally through the period of time it will started cooling down and being formed in a solid form. So according to planetesimal hypothesis, okay, there was originated due to the associations and aggregations of solid dust particles known as planetesimals, and based on this corollary, the core of the earth should be in a solid state. According to this theory, the theory explains that the earth should be in a solid state. Okay, then according to the tidal hypothesis, the core of the earth should be in a liquid state, because the earth has been taken to have been formed from the tidal masses ejected from the primitive suns. Okay, and according to nebular hypothesis of Laplace, the core of the earth should be in a liquid state. Okay, and on the basis of this hypothesis, the core of the earth may be in solid state or may be in liquid state. Though I have already told you these sources, though gives us some idea, gives us some knowledge, or gives us some baseline to think about that how the earth interior looks like. Though seismology and seismic activities only gives us the authentic knowledge or the proved knowledge regarding the internal structure of the earth. Then come to the volcanicity. It's a very normal thing you can understand. When there is a volcanic eruption, there is the eruptions of lavas, okay, and which is very hot and which is in a liquid state. So we can understand that the earth interior having temperature, and there is a compositions of like granite, igneous rocks, like because lava being formation through the volcanic eruption, there is the formation of igneous rock. So you can consider there is the mineral content in the earth interiors, like there is a iron, there is a nickel, okay. So this gives us idea about the there is that earth interior is in a hot, okay, there is presence of temperature, and because of the temperature. However, this idea is refuted by several scientists because the prevailing high pressure inside the earth would rise the melting point of the rocks and will not permit them to melt in spite of high temperature prevailing there. So the lava comes out of the earth is the result of melting rock due to the lowering of melting point caused by pressure released from fracture and faults. Okay. So volcanic eruption do not help us in arrival of firm conclusion actually. Okay. Then evidence from seismology, which is the most important evidence of internal structure of the earth, and which gives us authentic idea, authentic knowledge regarding the internal structure of the earth. Okay. It's a very important part of internal structure of the earth. It's a very important evidence which gives us idea about the internal structure of the earth. Okay. So what is seismology? It's a science which studies various aspects of seismic waves generated during the occurrence of earthquake. The shaking of earth, which is considered as an earthquake, okay, and the waves generated during the period of earthquake is called as seismic waves. And these seismic waves are recorded with the help of an instrument which is known as a seismograph, okay. And it may be pointed out that seismology is the only source of which provides us authenticated information about the earth interior, okay. So you can understand like the place of occurrence of earthquake is called focus, where the earthquake is being originated, and the place which experience the seismic events first is called epicenters, and which is located on the earth surface and is always perpendicular to the focus, okay, where the earth, like if, okay, just a minute, look at here, I have to show some picture. Look, for example, here is origin of earthquake, okay, here is the focus, this is the focus, and here is your epicenter, because this is the surface, and exactly vertical from the focus to epicenter is considered as the, what I can say, it's the epicenter, okay. So on the other hand, the focus or the place of origin of earthquake is always inside the earth, okay. So the different type of tremors and waves generated during the occurrence of an earthquake are called seismic waves. I have already told you. And the line along which seismic waves of the same intensity travel is called isoseismal lines. So how many types of seismic waves are there? There are three types of seismic waves, like your primary waves, secondary waves, and surface wave. And primary waves, which is denoted as P waves, capital P, and secondary waves, which is denoted as capital S, and surface wave, which is denoted as capital L. Come to the primary waves, okay. So these are also called P waves. Like why these are called P waves? Because it comes from a word like prima, okay, and which means first. So that's why the capital P also denote the primary waves. It is also called as boost wave, pool wave, compression, diffractions waves, or longitudinal waves. And these are the fastest wave and travel at average speed of 8 km per second. But their speed vary according to the medium through which they are traveling. And the more important thing is it passes through solid, liquid, gas, both the three mediums. But the thing is, when its speed is faster in solid, whereas its speed starts lowering or start decreasing when it's come to the liquid or then when it's come to the gaseous. But it can go through or it can pass through both solid, liquid and gaseous. Then come to the secondary waves. These are also called as S waves, capital waves, S waves, and transverse waves, sec waves, distortional or shear waves. And S waves are slower than P waves and travel at an average speed of 4 km per second. and S wave can travel only through solids and are lost in liquids and gases. This is the importance of secondary waves, and they remember these points because these things and these characteristics of these waves helps us to understand the internal structure of the earth, and this helps us to collect the information, to collect the knowledge regarding the internal structure of the earth. The last one is the surface wave, which is denoted as the L wave. Okay, so these are also called as long waves, and there are two types of L waves. One is discovered by Lord Rayleigh, which is called as Rayleigh's waves, and another one, once again, it is defined by A.H. Law, or is called as a law wave. Like, look, geography is the subject which has also emotions, love, affection, as well as it has in its seismic wave. There is also a law wave. Okay. So evidently they only affect only the surface of the earth and die out to the smaller depth. Like the thing is, surface wave is only find out in the surface of the earth. That is only in the surface area, in the crust area. Okay. So L waves arrives later than P and S wave because of their slow speed, and it travels a speed of 3 km per second. Okay. So seismology and the constitutions of the earth, like how this seismology helps us to understand the internal structure of the earth. It's a according to B.B. Gottlins, like he says that earthquakes are lamp of illuminating the structure of the earth interior, because these seismic waves helps us, like you can say these seismic waves are the light or the lamp which gives us the knowledge about earth interior. Okay, so the earthquake waves behave differently in different media, and when they travel through a homogeneous solid body, they move in a straight lines with a constant velocity. But when they travel through a body having heterogeneous compositions and varying density, they adopt a curved path. So the velocity increases with increase in density. Look at here, I have denote a red color for primary waves, P waves, and green color for secondary waves, S waves, and these curved lines for the surface wave. Look, this is your Strauss mantle core, and this is your internal structure of the earth. And if there is a earthquake here and the seismic waves have started moving in all directions, okay, then primary waves which are being in a homogeneous P waves, here P waves are straight, that means here is a homogeneous in composition, but here is started bending, that means here is the heterogeneous in compositions. Okay, and these things evolve that, like maybe core is not in a solid state, okay, that's why it's maybe solid or maybe in but liquid, like you can say molten state. Okay, so this diagrams gives us idea about the how the compositions of interior of the earth, and this is the cross sections of earth showing primary, secondary, and surface wave, and the surface wave which is being found only in the like where surface. Okay, look, here is also velocities of primary and secondary waves. Look at here, this is the density of the rocks, like density of the interior structure of the earth, like crust and mantle, and this is the secondary wave and this is the primary wave. Look, secondary waves can go through during the mantle, okay, and primary wave can passes through the crust, mantle, and core, whatever the medium it is. Okay, so these all are the evidences of earth interior. I just go through a very timely and a very compact manner that these are the evidences which gives us idea about the internal structure of the earth. Now come to the actually what internal structures look like and what are the interior of the earth and what are the characteristics and what we can found that. The thing is, we can consider it the internal structure of the earth is like this, but before that, like recent views after the investigation of more than lot of scientists like Daly, Jaffe, Wegener, Holmes, okay, and also Sussex. So lot of geomorphologists try to mention or try to identify the interior of the earth, but after that there is a recent view which is being more accepted that earth interior looks like this. Okay, so before that the one of the most accepted view is by Sussex, okay, and Sussex defined the chemical composition of interior of the earth, who defined the earth into three layers, that is Sial, Sima, and Nephe. Okay, but after that, like Concluding all these informations, the recent view can classify the interior of the earth into three layers. First is the upper surface, which is crust, and second one is the mantle, and the third one is your core. Look at here, this yellow part. You can take an example of your boiled egg. Okay, like the crunchy part, you can say cover of the egg. When you make it a boil, the white cover part is called as your crust, and the white boil part, which is we can consider it as a protein of the egg, that is you can consider as your mantle, and the yellow part of the egg, which is considered as a core. Okay, so three layer structure of the earth interior. Look at here is a earth interior structure. Like this yellow part is considered as the inner core, like which is divided into outer cores and inner core, and mantle, which is in gray color, and here is your earth crust. Okay, and look at here is the crust, and which is being divided into oceanic crust and continental crust. Okay, look at here. So this is a diagram which shows the internal structure of the earth. Look, I will try my best to give all the informations and all the thing in a single diagram, that all the information you can collect or you can remember, you can understand to see only this map also. Like the earth interior can be divided into three layers. Like here is the crust up to, look at here, don't confuse with these figures, because different books have defined different figures. Though I am being followed the book of Sabinder Singh or some Harinatha books, so they have been 10 to 5 kilometer difference in the depth, but the radius of earth never changed, that is 6371 kilometer. Okay, so the depth of the crust is vary from 60 kilometer to 70 kilometer actually, and it is divided into two parts, like your continental crust and oceanic crust, and these three layer is being divided by three major discontinuity. Look at here, this is crust, and this one is a mantle from 60 kilometer to up to 2900 kilometer, and from 2900 kilometer to the center of the earth, this is considered as your core. Okay, and the major part of this thing is, like all these three layers is divided by different, it distinguished by discontinuities. Okay, and these continuities are the change of density and the change of, you can consider the change of velocity of seismic waves. Between somewhere in the continental crust, there is a discontinuity layer which is considered as the Conrad discontinuity, and between upper mantle and crust, or you can consider it the distinction layer between crust and mantle, which is considered as the Mohorovic discontinuity. Actually, why this is considered as Mohorovic discontinuity? Because it is defined by the Yugoslavia seismologist Moho in 1909, and according to his name, it is considered as the Mohorovic discontinuity. And between the mantle and core, there is the Gutenberg discontinuity. Also, it is also defined by Weichert Gutenberg. That's why it is mentioned as the Gutenberg discontinuity. But there is a distinction between mantle layer, also upper mantle and layer mantle. I have already told you this distinction is on the basis of density and velocity, density of rock and velocity of seismic waves. So here is a discontinuity which is considered as the Ripley discontinuity, and between outer cores and inner core, this discontinuity is considered as Lehman discontinuity. Okay, and this graph also shows that the density, varying density from earth crust to earth core. Okay, and the maximum density of core is 11 to 13 gram per centimeter cube. And when we come to the composition, sorry, here is a mistake, it's not sigma, it's Cl. Make it off, it's Cl. Okay, listen to me carefully, just a minute. Here crust is not composed of sigma, it's composed of Cl. It's a printing mistake. Make it down. Those who are listening my videos, so make sure it's not sigma, it's Cl. Silicon and aluminum. Crust is composed by, like the maximum concentrations of mineral in crust are silicon and aluminum, which is considered as Cl. And the maximum concentration in mantle is silicon and magnesium, which is called as sigma. And the maximum concentration of core is like your nickel and ferrous, like your iron and nickel, which is considered as Niffe. So come to the crust. I've already told you these things is written here. which we are going to which we have already discussed there. Like the thickness of the crust is maximum 60 to 70 kilometer, and it will be divided into two types, like continental crust and oceanic crust. And continental crust has a maximum depth is 70 kilometer and density is 2.5 to 2.7 gram per centimeter cube, and velocity of seismic wave is 1.5 to 5.0 kilometer per second. When the oceanic crust have a thickness of 5 to 7 kilometer and density is 2.9 gram per centimeter cube, and velocity of seismic wave is 6 to 7.6 kilometer per second, and it's a Kanda discontinuity, which is the distinguished layer between somewhere in the continental crust where seismic velocities increases in a discontinuity ways, and the maximum concentrations of minerals in CL is what is that? Silicon and aluminum. Okay, remember these things. I have already told you that here, look at here, sorry, look at here, it's not, this is not SIMA, it's CL. Okay, sorry, it's CL. I have to write here, it's not SIMA, it's CL. It's CL. Okay, so look at here, this is the oceanic crust and this is the continental crust. I have is just trying to show in a picture. Okay, then moho, like mohor is also, mohorovic discontinuity will also consider as a moho. I have already told you is a distinguishing layer between crust and mantle, and is discovered by Yugoslavia seismologist Mohorovic. Next come to the mantle, that its thickness is 2900 kilometer and density of upper mantle is 3.3 grams per centimeter cube, whereas the density of lower mantle is 5 gram per centimeter cube, and velocity is varying from 8 kilometer per second, and the major concentrations of minerals are silicons and magnesiums, and that the discontinuity layer between upper mantle and lower mantle, which is considered as the Repte discontinuity. And here is your Gutenberg discontinuity, like the discontinuity layer between mantle and core, and which is defined by Richard Gutenberg. And core have a thickness from 2900 kilometer to the center of the earth, and the density which is vary from 7.8 to 13 gram per centimeter cube, and also velocity is 11.3 kilometer per second, and the major compositions is nickel plus ferrous, like nickel and iron. Okay, so this is all about your internal structure of the earth. I hope you can understand, and I will try my best to give you as much as information I can, and it will help all the students which are being studying geography, whatever the class it is. It may be 11th, 12th, those who are prepared for civils, those who are preparing, those who are studying in graduation. So I hope you like it. Thank you.